Cameron Ward, number one to the Titans. Travis Hunter, number two to the Jags. And all 257 young men heard their names called out during the NFL Draft, the 2025 event over the weekend. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the B&E Podcast draft recap show. He's Ed. I'm Brandon. Ed, what's going on, man?
Another day, man. This is definitely a draft for the books, but we definitely going to get into it, man. Let's get it started with this opening draft, shall we? All right. So former Colorado defensive back Shedeur Sanders hired Drew Rosenhaus as his agent and signed with the Bucks as an undrafted free agent. The NFL is looking into a prank call former Colorado quarterback Shedeur Sanders received during the draft, telling him that he was being picked by the Saints. The son of a Falcons coach has admitted he was responsible. Jeff Ulbrich, I think is the coach's name. The Steelers are signing wide receiver Robert Woods to a one-year deal. Wide receiver Deontay Johnson is signing with the Browns. And the Commanders in the District of Columbia, D.C., have reached a $4 billion deal to build a new stadium at the site of the RFK Stadium. I believe they say potentially be done by 2030. So we'll see how that goes.
Real quick, like it or not, on that stadium, possibly, the Commanders coming back to DC?
I think it's cool. Yeah, I like that they're doing that. I wonder how traffic and stuff is going to be is getting out of that. Hopefully, they get that figured out too, because getting in and out of DC can be a pain for people sometimes. But yeah, I think it's cool to have them back in DC. The team's called Washington, so it's nice to have them, or at least the stadium built. Just wondering some of the politics about it, like who else is going to pay for the stadium. I know the Commanders, let's say they're going to put up some money for it, but I guess the rest is going to fall on the taxpayers and stuff. So interested to see how that's going to work out. But hopefully gets a lot of jobs for the people in that local community as far as construction and stuff. And eventually when the stadium is built, people can work at that stadium too. So yeah, man, I'm excited about that news for sure. What about you? You got any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I agree with that traffic situation, especially on Monday and Thursday night games. And if the NFL expands to any, business days throughout the week, that's definitely a situation. We know Sundays are a little bit different, but it's still, like you said, it's always traffic getting out of there. I rode Metro through there probably about 10 years ago, and it is a train that goes right by that stadium. I don't remember it stopping anywhere near it. So I would imagine they'll probably be building a metro station closer or something to those terms. But yeah, they got plenty of time. I believe the last thing I saw was $890 million for the District of Columbia. Not sure if that is money in the bank or taxpayers will have to fork that over, as you mentioned. I know a couple months ago they had a couple of town halls with the mayor, and it got kind of spicy up in there. People saying that basically owners make enough money to where they need to be paying for it. So we'll see how it goes. I will miss them in Maryland as being a Marylander, just for the fact that it is income for the state of Maryland. But it is not far from Landover to DC, so it is a well-being all the way around for the entire DMV. It is good to see them back though in DC for their fans, especially the older fans that were around last time they were in DC.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, everyone, let's talk about a guy. He's been no stranger to our discussions on the show, Shedeur Sanders. He was selected in the 5th round by the Cleveland Browns. I know we talked about this a lot from Thursday, Friday on into Saturday when he was selected, of course, the weeks and months before that. How do you feel about this whole situation with Shedeur going, I think, pick 140 something, if I'm not mistaken?
Yeah, man. Like you said, we were texting back and forth about it throughout the weekend. Honestly, after the second day, I was thinking he might not even get drafted. I was just shocked, kind of like speechless, just the whole scenario that was going on. I'm interested to see how the ratings for this draft was, because I feel like Shedeur Sanders was basically the topic of discussion even after he was drafted. I feel like people were probably tuning in the draft just to see, okay, is he going to get picked or is he going to go undrafted? So I'm interested to see if the ratings like spiked this year for the draft compared to other years. But back to him being drafted, man, I think NFL try to make an example saying, no one's bigger than the shield. No one person is going to be bigger. than the NFL, and we're gonna make an example out of Shedeur Sanders and the Sanders family. Um, I want to say they did their best to humiliate them, humble the guy. Um, I went to a game last year when they played Baylor. From my viewpoint, I'm not like a talent scout or anything like that, but I think he could play in the NFL. So just to see him drop, continue to drop, was very surprising to me. A lot of teams I thought needed him as a quarterback. Steelers, for example, I was shocked that they didn't pick him. Round 3, second day goes on, they didn't pick him. I was just like, wow, scratch on my head. I texted you, like I said, I don't know if he's gonna get drafted. I don't think he's gonna get drafted. Then he finally did. You had guys. I was watching a lot of the ESPN coverage. Mel Kiper was going crazy, beating the drum for Shedeur Sanders, basically saying like, "What is going on? The NFL has been getting it wrong for 50 years on evaluating quarterbacks." But there was a lot of people who thought this was deserved. There's stories coming out that he didn't have good interviews. I was reading a story today about how Brian Daboll had an interview with him and it didn't go so well. He was basically asking about strategies and things like that, and Shedeur couldn't come up with any good answers or something like that. And they came out the meeting not liking each other or something like that. But what could go wrong did go wrong, man. Like you said, the prank call. I thought that was kind of classless, tasteless, in my opinion. I didn't really like it too much. Some people found it funny. And then, I want to give a shout out to Shedeur Sanders. I was watching some of his stream that he was doing on Twitch and stuff like that, and he was trying to make jokes, keep things lighthearted. He had one funny joke where he's basically was like, "Man, if they do you like this, I already know how they're gonna do me," and I thought that was hilarious. But yeah, man, it was just crazy. I don't think I've ever seen anything like this as a player. It was between him and Cam Ward as who's the best quarterback in the draft. Cam Ward with number 1 overall, and then Travis Hunter with second. The Jaguars trading the Browns to get that pick, and then I'm thinking, okay, Shedeur is gonna go somewhere in the top 10. I had a feeling maybe the Browns didn't want to do it, but I thought maybe the Giants or the Raiders or somebody like that. But after that, the first 10 pass, I didn't hear his name called. I was like, okay. Well, there's the Steelers' 21st pick. They'll for sure get him. Yep. Steelers name called. They drafted a defensive tackle, if I'm not mistaken. And then after that, it was just the wheels fell off, man. But like I said, I really do think that the ratings, I'm interested to see how the numbers are. I feel like a lot of people started to tune in and see, okay, is he getting drafted? Who's going to draft him? Or is he not getting drafted at all? Like I said, I thought after the second day that I thought he was going to get drafted. But it even made it to the White House. President Trump, he has his social platform where he was basically talking about it. They had one of their media press conferences a day where the press secretary basically was like, "Yeah, our president said something about it, and a few rounds later, he got picked." So, I mean, maybe he did have something. Maybe his attention, the president's attention on it, was like, okay, let's get this guy. And another thing I want to say, if you watch the draft reactions, I'm not even sure the Browns wanted to draft him because Andrew Berry, Kevin Stefanski, the head coach, most of the other picks, they were, clapping their hands, smiling and stuff when the pick got called. They called Shedeur Sanders' name. They looking like me right now. It's like,
yep.
Andrew Berry was like, yeah, well, he'll have to prove himself. We'll see how it goes. So I'm not even sure they wanted to draft him, and it's just a head scratcher to me because they drafted the quarterback Dylan Gabriel in the 3rd round, I believe, and I was just like, so you got Kenny Pickett, then you draft Dylan Gabriel, and then in the 5th round you draft Shedeur. I think they have 5 quarterbacks right now on the roster, so it's just really a head scratcher. The whole thing was kind of a circus, in my opinion, but he's drafted now. I'm happy his brother got picked up for a team now, and now it's just kind of all of him to just prove people wrong and see what he can do out there. I think these preseason games when they finally come, is going to be highly rated too, just to see a lot of people want to see how he does out there. But what are your thoughts on that thing, man?
Yeah, a couple quick points. You mentioned Mel Kiper Jr. He, I think, had Shedeur as his number 1 quarterback throughout this process. So shout out to him. and then the Steelers draft pick that they picked in the first round over Shedeur Sanders, and we'll talk more about this. I will in the in our off season in the summer, heading into the regular season. Their defensive tackle Harmon, I believe his name is. Um, Condolences to his family. His mother was in, I believe, ICU or critical condition for several weeks. Um, he was able to rush over to the hospital right after he got drafted, let her know that um, that he got drafted, and she did pass away moments later, or within the same 24 hours of him getting drafted. So I hope he balls out next year, except for against my Ravens, of course. But yeah, I hope he does do his thing, and he does have a good tutor there. But again, I'll talk more about him later in the summer. But as for Shedeur Sanders, shame on the Giants. Number one, um, I'd been saying pretty much since the back end of last year when the draft order was kind of finalized, or the early part of 2025, if the Giants don't go Shedeur Sanders, they're going to go Jackson Dart because he's from Ole Miss and Eli Manning played there. Shame on him because, as I mentioned, I mean, shame on the Giants because, as I mentioned to you, the protocol right now, the quarterbacks, the hot quarterbacks right now are the black athletic quarterbacks. Um, Shedeur is athletic. I mean, you've seen him play live in person. I've seen him on TV. We've all seen it. He's dealt with an offensive line that was, horrendous. Pretty much the 2 years at um, Colorado, he had to rebuild the program there at Jackson State. There's no reason why he shouldn't have been a first round quarterback. I'm lost why the Saints, the Browns, the first go around, Rams, Jets, Colts, they could have used the quarterback too. And of course, the Steelers, as you mentioned, they didn't take him. I know the Jets have Justin Fields, but are you 100% sold on them? I wouldn't be as a Browns fan. I mean, as a Jets fan or a coach. I mean, you mentioned the Raiders as well. Geno Smith, I think he's a solid guy, but you know he's in his 30s. He's been bounced around by a couple teams lately, so we'll see how that goes. But Shedeur in Cleveland, as you mentioned, you forgot your boy Joe Fluco, as you call him. Um, and a lot of guys I was watching on NFL Network, they was like, he should just be set in as the number two quarterback. And if they have to use him, if they see that Kenny Pickett, Gabriel, or Sanders can't win that starting job, then we have somebody that's reliable, that knows the system there. He was just there a couple years ago that can go start. But I feel like either Shedeur can be the starter, he could win that starting job, or he won't make the roster at all. That's my thoughts at this moment. Of course, we got rookie minicamps coming up. Of course, OTAs, training camp, all that kind of stuff, and we'll see how it develops. But I don't feel like there's an in between for him. I don't feel like there's a second or third quarterback spot on this roster for him. You still got to factor in the part that, and I'm sure there's a way that with Deshaun Watson, that with all the money he's making, he's still going to be on the roster. Yes, he won't be listed as a quarterback. I think there's like an injury designation that they can give him to where they'll have, they can still have 53 men on the roster and not have him on there, but you still have him on the roster one way or another, whether he comes back middle of the season, end of the season, or next season. Obviously, they're not going to probably him starting games again. But yeah, five quarterbacks. That's a crowded quarterback room, even if you count the four. But yeah, I hope Shedeur Sanders balls out as well, except for the 2 or possibly 3 games if they do make the playoffs and we play them in the playoffs against the Ravens. Um, when he plays us, give us a couple interceptions. But other than that, go win Rookie of the Year, Shedeur, especially if you're starting.
Yeah, man. Good luck to him.
Yeah, definitely. All right. His Commanders are just over 3 months removed from the NFC Championship appearance. They finished second place in NFC East, setting themselves up with the 29th overall pick in Thursday night's NFL draft. Ed, how do you feel about the overall draft for your Washington Commanders?
I have faith in the front office. GM Adam Peters came in last year, knocked it out the park with Jaden Daniels. Then he drafted Mike Sarensil, cornerback out of Michigan, go blue. So I'm confident and hopeful that the picks we got this year will be immediate contributors on the field, specifically these first 2 picks, Josh Connerly Jr., offensive lineman out of Oregon. I really hope, because we're going to need all the help on the offensive line we get going against There's premier pass rushers on every team in the NFC East. We got Michael Parsons, the freaking Eagles D line. They loaded up on the draft for more defensive linemen. My goodness. And then the Giants, they drafted Abdul Carter, of course. They got Brian Burns, another guy as well. I think Kayvon Thibodeau, hopefully he gets traded or something, but he's still on the team too right now. But they got premier pass rushers all over the NFC East, so we need our offensive linemen to be great. And then our second round pick, Trey Amos, cornerback out of Ole Miss. There's pretty much premier wide receivers on every team in the NFC East. I mean, you got CeeDee Lamb with the Cowboys. You got Malik Neighbors, rookie last year with the Giants. And then the Eagles, they got A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith, two guys I think can be number one receivers wherever they go. So I'm hoping these two guys, the first two picks right away, are able to contribute right away on the field, possibly be starters. And then I'm just hoping, specifically, especially since we had a lot of success last year and we got a later round pick, I definitely hope, because it's usually easier to get a pick and nail it right when you have like a top 10 pick, top 5 pick, something like that. You usually have better success than those guys being successful. So I'm hoping these guys do well. Only thing I was kind of hoping for is we drafted an edge rusher, but we didn't get that. And then we did the same thing we did last year. It seems we drafted a running back, but we drafted him in the 7th round. So I don't know if he'll be a contributor right away. I'm looking at that 6th round pick we got too, the linebacker out of UCLA, Kane Madrano. I'm thinking if he doesn't make a contribution on the defensive side of the ball, we'll have him on special teams. And I'm hoping that he can contribute there because that special teams unit, I always have in the back of my mind, hopefully no one returns the kick against us. So hopefully, he can be out there. I was looking at some of his stats and measurables. He ran like a 4.6. He's a pretty big dude for a linebacker. So I think if he can't make a contribution on the defense side of the ball, at least they'll have him on special teams and he can be like a gunner or something like that and make some havoc on their special team side. But yeah, man, I think this drive's going to work out. I have faith in Adam Peters and our front office. I'm thinking Josh Connerly long-term will be a cemented starter for us. Some of the free agent pickups, we got Laramie Tunsil from the Texans. So we're trying to retool that offensive line, especially, we lost guys like Sam Cosmi at the end of the year. I think we lost him in the Detroit game to a torn ACL. So I don't think he'll be back anytime soon. If he does, it's later in the season, this upcoming season. But overall, I'm happy with the draft. Now, that being said, I'm looking at all the draft grades. I think, Yahoo Sports or Bleacher Report, somebody gave us like a B+. Everyone pretty much gave us high rating in the draft. But in my opinion, that all means nothing. We won't really know until it's time for them to get on the field and play. That way we can really tell, and even further down the line, like a couple years later, these guys are really worth it. But I have faith in the front office now. Like I said, last year, they knocked it out the park. Jaden Daniels, Mike Sarin still. So hopefully they can continue to build. I'm also happy with some of the free agent signings. Like I said, Laramie Tunsil. We got Deebo Samuel. We didn't get an edge rusher in the draft, but we did pick up Dietrich Wise, DN came over from the Patriots. So, yeah, man, just keep continuing to build. And hopefully the guys we drafted last year, too, I want to say that as well, they continue to develop. I hope Jaden Daniels had an amazing, all-world rookie season. I hope he can take another leap. Now, that might sound a little crazy, but I really do hope he can take another leap. Same for the cornerback, Mike Sarin still, man. We just continue to build. The guy I'm looking most for in this draft that the Commanders pick is Trey Amos. I want to see how he does out there because, we had guys like Benjamin St. Juice, Emmanuel Forbes. Good luck to him wherever he's at right now. They were just getting torched in every way last year. So I'm hoping Trey Amos specifically goes out there and makes a name for himself. And then I was slightly surprised. This is probably my most surprising pick that we drafted wide receiver Jalen Lane because we did pick up Deebo Samuel. We still got McCaffrey too. So I was kind of surprised by that, but hopefully, he can make a contribution as well. But overall, I am excited about these draft picks and can't wait to see how they do. You got any thoughts on our draft picks?
Yeah, so heading into the draft, you said you wanted a player on each level of the defense, a good player, someone that could develop into, an elite player. And I think y'all addressed it on the middle and the back end for sure. Ole Miss corner in the second, like you mentioned, Trey Amos. The UCLA linebacker in the sixth round, Ian Madrano. He played next to the other UCLA linebacker who was a first round grade, Carson Schlesinger. He went first pick in the second round to the Browns. Hopefully, y'all's guy has a better career or better start to his career than the guy that's playing for the Browns. I don't want the Browns to be good at anything, but yeah, we'll see how that pans out. But yeah, the first rounder, offensive tackle, like you texted me right after y'all picked it. He was like, basically makes sense. Y'all need to retool that offensive line. Got to protect that prized possession back there, that number 2 overall pick of the 2024 NFL draft, and reigning rookie of the year, Jaden Daniels. You mentioned the Larry Tunzel trade, so I know he plays left tackle. I think some of the analysis I saw online, they'll see, trying to figure out. Some people aren't sure where he's going to play at right now. You would probably know better than me, but I think he'll definitely get some playing time in his rookie campaign. I think, like you said, you trust your front office. They come from the San Francisco 49ers, a few of those guys. Very well ran organization and a very good drafting organization out there in San Fran. So it's looking like you all, with I think 5 or 6 picks, we'll see how it pans out. If y'all have a year like we did, I think in 2022, I believe it was, or 2023, we only had 6 draft picks overall, but we nailed just about every last one of them. So hopefully that's the situation like y'all when you could deal with less and get that production more. And then as well as those undrafted free agents, the good teams get 1 or 2 guys that are undrafted that can make a difference or make a play here and there when the regular season starts because they made the roster. So hopefully y'all's undrafted free agents will make up for the draft picks that y'all didn't have in this year's draft.
Yeah, man. Speaking of undrafted free agents, that just reminded me. I saw a tweet over the weekend. I want to say it was John Randall, Hall of Fame D lineman for the Vikings back in the day. He tweeted out, not everybody who doesn't get drafted gets into the Hall of Fame, or excuse me, he said, even if you don't get drafted, you still make it in the Hall of Fame. You show a picture of him in his gold jacket. So yeah, that was a good point about the undrafted free agents. All right, man. Let's talk about your Baltimore Ravens, man. Y'all had a gang of picks. Like I was talking to you before the show started. Y'all drafted basically a whole damn team, as many picks as y'all had. What are your thoughts on this draft for you guys, man?
Very pleased with our draft production overall from Friday through Thursday through Saturday. I give us an A- overall. Got that number 1 pick, Malachi Starks, the corner out of safety out of Georgia. We know those Georgia boys; they can play some defense. He'll be paired up with Kyle Hamilton, Darius Washington, who just signed his restricted free agent tender about a week before the draft. Had a breakout season last year. I think he could play the ball very well. He should make an improvement over Marcus Williams, who struggled the early part of last year, and that's how Darius Washington really came on. Second round, we got Mike Green, edge rusher out of Marshall. I remember watching the draft and heading into the back end of the first round, into the second, kept seeing this guy's name, and I was like, we need an edge rusher. We need an edge rusher. And I saw him at the top of the board for Daniel Jeremiah on the NFL Network. And sure enough, we got him. Didn't know much about him until, we drafted him. I immediately saw he had 19 sacks, and I was like, man, if we can just get half of that production, because that's what most of our guys averaged at 9 to 11 sacks a year. I think Kyle Van Noy had a career high last year. It was a double-digit year for him. Adafe Owe really came on last season as well. We usually get the veterans that come do it, but if he can do it, it'll be awesome. Honestly, we need that premier pass rusher, like you mentioned. You all got guys on each team in your division that have a premier pass rusher. We do as well. T.J. Watt, Miles Garrett, say no more with him. But Trey Henderson, got to give him his flowers as well. Reigning defensive player, reigning sack holder there for the Cincinnati Bengals. Don't know if he'll be back, but hopefully Mike Green can make some noise early and often. I was a bit surprised with our third round pick, Emory Jones out of LSU. He's a tackle. From what I understand, he can also play guard, which is what we need. We need a left guard right now. Obviously, Ronnie Stanley signed a 3-year extension in the offseason. We hit home with Roger Rosengarten last year in the second round, I believe it was. He's going to be a starter there as long as we can keep him under contract. Very good player. So we'll see where Emory Jones uh, fits in. I honestly think he'll probably be on some of the jumbo packages, some of those goal line packages where they bring in the six offensive linemen um, to help out LJ and Derrick Henry there. But from there, we continue to address just about every need that we had. We took 2 more corners, an offensive guard late in the draft, a defensive tackle. We know Michael Pierce retired, but 2 of my 3 favorite picks in the draft was the Colorado wide receiver LaJohntay Wester. I think I'm pronouncing his last name right. And the kicker Tyler Loop. We know that at the very least, Justin Tucker will probably be suspended. Plus, I think he's over 35 or at that mid 30, approaching late 30 range. He kind of missed some kicks the last couple years. So with 11 picks, I was telling my guy Kevin heading in the draft, it's safe to just go ahead and get one here. If it works out, great. If it doesn't, it's fine because we have enough picks anyway. And then the wideout out of Colorado, of course, he played with Shedeur and Travis. I've seen some of the tape on him after we picked him up. I remember watching a couple of Colorado games. I was like, man, these wide receivers are all stars. And I think at that time they was talking about how a few of those guys were going to end up coming out in the draft. And I think 3 of them ended up either getting drafted or undrafted free agent. But he did play some punt and kick returner. So I think you may have remembered last year we had a drop off at punt and kick returner besides Tylan Wallace. When Devin Duvernay went to Jacksonville, we didn't really get anybody that was consistent there. They tried to bring in a guy from Buffalo. He was a 5-6 year veteran. Didn't really work out. So hopefully Wester can come in there and return some kicks for us and be consistent back there. But yeah, Mike Green, Wester, and the kicker Tyler Lute, those are my favorites. I'll be excited to see which unrestricted free agents we get as well. I think there was one big guy, I want to say, out of the big offensive lineman we got unrestricted, but a lot of the Ravens social media is going crazy over him, how big he is and how good he is on tape of protecting his quarterback. So we always do typically have one unrestricted free agent that makes the team. Last year we had a guy out of Maryland. I think his last name was Bo. He was a linebacker, war number 6. He took Patrick Queen's old number. He balled out during the preseason. He did get some snaps on special teams, so hopefully we'll continue. I think we have a streak of more than a dozen years of an unrestricted free agent making our roster. We're really good. I got to give our front office credit, man. Those guys, and if there's any females on the scout staff as well, those people know how to find these people to draft, man. It just amazes me every year how we can just stay put. We don't trade up. Not in the first, second round. We trade back. Now I know Lamar Jackson, that was a trade into the first round, but other than that, man, we stay put and we get the best player that's on the board. I wasn't with Malachi Starks. I kind of wanted a corner or edge rusher there, but I remember I didn't want. I was kind of lost why they picked Kyle Hamilton that year because we had Marcus Williams and we had another safety. I wasn't too sold on Mark Andrews the year we picked him up. I thought we needed another position higher than that. And it was another player, I want to say last year when we got the corner, Wiggins. Yeah. I think I wanted Kenyon Mitchell or the other boy that played for the Eagles. Both of those guys, I wanted them. But all 3 of those guys worked out. Andrews, Wiggins, and Hamilton for sure. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. How do you feel? What do you think about our draft?
Well, quick question: is there anybody you are not sold on at this year's draft? They'll probably be the guy who shines the brightest.
That's a good question. Give me a moment. Let me look at my draft picks again, and okay. I'll. If I had to say right now though, real quick, it would be both the tackles because we took a tackle in the 5th round and in the 3rd round. We didn't necessarily need a tackle. We needed guards. But at the same time, I was thinking, okay, well, they're playing smart because Ronnie Stanley, I think besides last year and maybe one of his first seasons, he hadn't played a full season. The man is always injured. So I'm thinking maybe that's why they took two tackles within the first 5 rounds. But again, we had 11 picks, so we had
Yeah.
wiggle room to make a mistake in a sense or make a reach if we had to. But yeah, it was always back in the day, real quick. It was used to be an Ozzy we trust. That used to be the Ravens fans saying we always knew that Ozzy Newsome was going to pull it through on draft night. He's still in that draft room. He's not longer general manager. Of course, Eric DeCosta is. Um, but now it's pretty much an EDC we trust, man. Those guys,
Yeah.
again, those guys know how to get it done. I think three best drafting teams are Baltimore, Pittsburgh, and New England. And I'm not saying in any order. Those three front offices know how to get it done for sure.
Yeah, man. Like I tell you, it seems like every year, y'all always find at least one player that's for sure a bona fide starter. I really want to see how the edge rusher got picked up, Mike Green, does. I heard some stuff about him, like he might have slipped into
True.
the second round because he had some off the field issues.
Yeah.
So hopefully, he all that stuff is behind him and that doesn't creep up on him in his professional career. Because they'll definitely note that if it does happen again. But like, man, it seems like I said, every year y'all get something, and it's always y'all always get a guy too in those later rounds. It could be
Yeah.
the day three. Y'all always seem to get a guy who comes out of nowhere. What's the running back's name before he got hurt? Is Keaton Mitchell? I think his name is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Before he got hurt, the guy looked like he was gonna be like a starter for. He looked like Ray Rice a little bit. He was really fast. Was nice with the ball as a running back. So I think y'all gonna knock it out of the park again with this draft, just off the track record, like you said, EDC, Eric DeCosta. Like I think those linemen you got too. I think those are gonna be. I think you're gonna be. Y'all gonna have like it's kind of be like the Eagles defensive line where it's just they got like 5 to 7 guys. They can bring a guy in, send him in for a second, give another guy a breather, and he can just be another link in the chain, not a weak link, but just a
Yeah.
stable. I think you guys are gonna have an offensive line like that where you have about 5 to 7, maybe 8 guys who you can rotate, move around, get a guy, let it get a breather, and just be real dominant. Because honestly, the theme of this draft is a lot of teams were focused on the defensive lines. The Eagles, they drafted a lot of alignment. I'm really interested. We talked a little bit about the Browns. The guy they drafted, Mason Graham,
Yeah.
him paired with Myles Garrett.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I think that could be really lethal for those guys. So I really want to see how that looks out. Like I said, the Eagles drafted freaking guys. I think I texted you. I think the Giants are going to draft Abdul Carter, which I hope they don't, because I know that freaking
Yeah.
Giants defensive line is probably going to be killer now with him. Even though I heard some
Yeah.
things about him, maybe he's not too good in the run game. I'm sure I'll hear his name at least a couple times when he plays against the Commanders. Hopefully, I'm wrong, but I just have a feeling. But yeah, man, back to you guys. I want to see how this dude Malachi Starks looks, because if he can be nice back there along with Kyle Hamilton, that'll definitely help you guys, especially when if y'all make it to the playoffs, no injuries, anything like that, they'll drop off somebody. But if y'all make it to the playoffs and this guy can contribute on the field along with Kyle Hamilton, y'all that could put you over the hump, man. So I think I think every year y'all pretty much nail it with at least 2 or 3 guys. I think this will be another year y'all do the same thing, in my opinion.
And one more quick point on the special teams pick, Tyler Loop, the 6th rounder out of Arizona. A couple years ago, Sam Cook, our punter, retired.
Mm.
And we had a lot of picks that year as well. And we either got Jordan Stout. We got him in the 4th or 6th round. I want to say it was a 6th round because that year we had a bunch of 6th rounders as well. And now he's one of the best punters in the league. So I know Arizona just from hearing a little bit about college football, they score a lot. So he was on the field kicking a lot, whether it's extra points or field goals. He has a lot of experience under his belt. A couple Ravens fans are like, you know, yeah, it's fine. We got a kicker. It's good, because we don't know what's going on with Justin Tucker, but is he clutch? So we'll see how that goes. As time goes on, it may be a situation where Justin is probably going to get suspended 4 to 6 games, if I had to guess by now. We'll see what the NFL investigation comes out to. So hopefully, by the time we would need him, late December and January, um, he'll have a couple kicks under his belt in pressure situations if he's the guy moving forward. If and even if Justin's suspended for the entire year or something like that, we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, bonehead draft or off-season move of uh, the off-season or since our last show. So basically, I was gonna do the whole Giants skipping on Shedeur Sanders when they needed a franchise quarterback. They gave Daniel Jones all that money a couple years ago. They let Saquon Barkley go in free agency. Daniel Jones gets cut 6 or 8 weeks into the season last year. They go through a quarterback conundrum out there, and then you sign Russ and Jameis Winston, and they let go. They skip over Shedeur for the edge rusher, as you mentioned. Probably was a guy that was the number one overall pick there for a while. I'm not going to do that. I already talked about that. But my off-season bonehead move is the Jaguars ownership. Mr. Khan, I can't pronounce his first name, so I'm not even going to try it. He's an Indian guy. Um, at the end of the off season, at the end of the regular season, we all thought that Doug Peterson should have been fired early last season, pretty much around those two London games they played in. They was 1-1 over there, but they was horrendous before and after that. He kept Doug Peterson the entire year. Okay, whatever. So you get a couple days after the off season, you fire the head coach, but you have a virtual press conference. Okay, yourself and the general manager, Trent Balk, I think is how you pronounce his name. He's on there. They're talking about the future. They're talking about what they want in the head coach, the future of Trevor Lawrence, a couple other players, all that kind of stuff, doing their end of the year press conference. They hired Liam Cohen as a coach, and then I want to say a couple days to a week later, they go and fire the GM. Make it make sense. Why not fire them both at the same time? Okay, so it's almost like you did the exact opposite of what teams be doing. Teams be letting go either of both or letting go of the coach or letting go of the general manager or letting the general manager pick the coach. So you basically almost in a sense, we don't know what went on behind closed doors because obviously Mr. Khan don't know how to run a franchise, in my opinion. He goes and gets his head coach and probably Liam Cohen, a first-year head coach or offensive coordinator, his first year offensive coordinator with the Bucks, by the way, 1 year as offensive coordinator. They go and pick I want to say the man ain't no more than 33 years old. He may be younger than that. He's really young. Out of San Fran, I think his name is Gladstone. I think of Joey Gladstone from Full House, but his name is James Gladstone. And I remember when the just kind of tying in the draft for this, I remember when the Jaguars moved up to number 2 to take Travis Hunter, and they was like, man, Cleveland got they just went back a few spots. I think they got a couple picks in this year's draft, and they got the first round draft pick of the Jags for next year. They was like, man, do you really think that the Jags are going to be a good pick? A good team this coming season, so their draft pick next year is going to be in the late 20s or something? No, the Jags are probably going to be trash, and they're going to be probably a top 15 pick. So they was like, they just spooked the new general manager of the Jaguars, this young guy, and he got spooked into this deal that honestly messed themselves up. Yeah, you're going to get Travis Hunter, but at what point you going to have Travis Hunter over there looking like, damn, maybe I should have went to Cleveland. Maybe I should. Obviously it's not his choice, but
Right.
yeah, Mr. Khan sitting there having a press conference with him and his general manager, saying how they're going to build a team around Trevor Lawrence, continue building the team, what they're looking for the head coach. And then a couple weeks later, you hire your head coach. Within a week or two later, you fire the general manager and you get some young guy out of San Francisco. Yes, San Francisco, they build him up good. Y'all got a GM there from there now, but this young guy clearly on the first night, we'll see how this pans out next year with the draft pick. He don't know what he was doing. He was the laughing stock as far as the trade value of that pick at number 2. What's your bonehead offseason move or draft move?
I was gonna go with the Browns drafting Dylan Gabriel, then going in the 5th round drafting Shedeur Sanders, just because I'm trying to think of the strategy. I was texting some guys, they were saying, "Oh, maybe there's a trade in mind." I'm thinking, what are they gonna trade? Are you gonna trade one of the draft picks? They're gonna trade Kenny Pickett. Somebody's gonna want him. I don't know. But then I was thinking, I think it was like a month ago, maybe a few weeks ago, the whole Aaron Rodgers and that Jets interview where the new coach, Aaron Glenn, comes in and he basically asked him, "So, do you want to play football with us?" And Aaron Rodgers basically said, "Yeah, maybe. I don't know." Aaron Glenn said, "All right, cool. Get the hell out of here. We're moving on." Aaron Rodgers, I know I heard that you have some issues in your personal life or something like that, but what the hell are you thinking, man? Saying, I'm not sure. I think so. You got to be, this is an NFL franchise. You got a new head coach. It's a New York Jets, New York media. Come on now. Then you want to turn into the victim and go on a Pat McAfee show. Oh, they could have gave me a phone call. They made me fly away across the country to tell me they're going to go in another direction. Interview lasted only 15 minutes, so I thought it was going to last 2 hours. Well, if you tell somebody I'm not too sure, what you want them to do? Say, okay, well, let us know. We'll wait for you. No, they're gonna move on. That's exactly what they did. So, Aaron Rodgers, I gotta give you my bonehead off-season move. I guess for the draft, I give it to the Browns just because I'm not sure what they're thinking. Drafting Dylan Gabriel in the 3rd round and then drafting Shedeur Sanders in the 5th round. Like you said, they got Joe Flacco and they got Kenny Pickett. So I mean, what? And there's 5 quarterbacks. So I can't remember who's the 5th quarterback. I know it's not Danny Jones. I think he's with the Vikings or somebody. But
no, it's Watson if you count him in there.
Exactly. Yes. Exactly. Thank you. So I got to just see how this all works out. Who's going to be the starter going into week 1 and how all that's going to play out. But yeah, Aaron Rodgers and the Cleveland Browns.
One more thing about that clown down in Jacksonville, Liam Cohen. I'm sure you probably saw it. I think I probably sent it to you when his introductory press conference. And you know that you got a PR rep with every team. Some teams have multiple. I know they set this man down and said how to say the Duval chant. This man get up and the funny thing, I wish I could do his eyebrows how he did it. He goes, Duval. And I'm like,
Duval.
It's Duval. Like you put emphasis on the U's and the L's when you say that. That's the way we see it, from other parts of the country. I don't think they say it like that down in Jacksonville. Clearly, he was still in that Tampa Bay, probably high adrenaline, and they probably got him at the moment where, he didn't know what he was doing. So then a couple weeks later, he tried to come back and redeem himself inside the practice facility, on the practice field. He got it right that time. I guess some of the players or the PR staff, showed him some videos of people actually doing it the right way. Damn clown.
Oh man, yeah, man. We'll see how it goes for them. But all right, everyone. That's gonna do it for another episode of Breaking and Entering Podcast. I want to thank everybody who takes the time out to watch the show. You see us on YouTube. Like, subscribe, leave a comment if you want to. And we'll talk to you guys and gals next time. All right. Y'all be safe out there. Enjoy the rest of the off season. Can't wait for that preseason to come, man. We'll talk to y'all soon.